This is Justin.
And this is Haley, and you're listening to The Price of Avocado Toast.
We're a married millennial couple wanting to normalize conversations about money. We want to hear about your highs and your lows,
The do's and the don'ts on your path towards financial freedom. Hi Toasties, welcome to Price of Avocado Toast.
Whether you're a first-time listener or you've been following us from the start of this thing, we're so glad to have this conversation with you today.
Today we sit down to talk with Aunt Kara, and I'm really excited for this episode because she talks all about travel hacking. And we haven't had a travel hacking episode in a pretty long time, so this is going to be great for all of you to hear how to get started with that.
Yeah, super exciting getting to chat with her, and especially exciting getting to chat with her as we've kind of changed our own habits and our mindsets, and getting to kind of loop back into travel hacking was pretty fun.
Totally. I'm excited. All right, Toasties, enjoy this interview with Kara.
Toasties, today we are sitting down with Aunt Kara from the Aunt Kara brand on Instagram. Kara, thank you so much for taking some time on your weekend to chat with us. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
I am really excited to deep dive into travel hacking with you. So could you just start off by telling our Toasties, those are our listeners, the Toasties a little bit about who you are and what you do as a travel hacker?
Sure. So the concept of travel hacking is really comprised of a few things. Points and miles are what people know travel hacking, most, that's what it's most known for. So different programs like different airlines and hotels have loyalty programs where you can earn points and miles and get free travel. And so there's a lot of people out there that make it's a pretty intense hobby to earn as many points and miles as they can through different means in order to get as much free travel as possible. So travel hacking is, the goal is to reduce your cost of travel, potentially get everything for free using these different loyalty programs, and then also take advantage of some of the different perks that you can get too with different status, different credit cards with these different brands. So you can get upgrades and you can get free meals and better views in your hotel room and everything else. So it's, a way to just travel, for the least amount of money as possible, basically.
I love that.
Yeah, we're relatively new into our travel hacking journey. We had Julia from GeoBreeze Travel on the podcast early on in season 1, and then we kind of started to slowly dabble into it. So that was kind of our introduction to travel hacking. But I'm interested to kind of hear how you got started travel hacking, because obviously it's grown for you into this bigger brand as kind of like a mentor for travel hacking as well. Where did you get your start into this forum?
Yeah, so I'm aging myself here, but it was 25 years ago that I did my first travel hack. And,
oh, wow.
it was through actual travel. The way that most people do travel hacking these days is through credit cards and other means, and they don't actually do paid travel to earn their points and miles. But way back when, I was a technology consultant and I traveled for work pretty extensively, like Monday through Friday, every single week for years. So I earned points and miles the old-fashioned way of actually traveling. And so our very first trip, my husband and my very first trip was to Hawaii with Hilton and United. And we stayed at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. And that's where I learned about the concept of free travel, like using points and miles and not having to actually pay thousands of dollars to travel. So that was my first taste of it. But when I really got into the way I do it now was about 10 years ago. And it's really a more intense hobby around managing different credit cards and signing up for cards and strategically using them for certain types of purchases to continue to earn points and miles. And that whole approach really just came about 10 years ago when we decided our kids were at the right age to do more travel, but we did now have 4 people to pay for. And I said, we've got to figure out a better way to make this happen because this is expensive if we continue to try to pay for this travel. And so we were big debit card people for a big chunk of time, years ago, where we just wanted the money out of our checking account immediately. And then I started talking to my husband, Mark, about the concept of, doing credit cards and routing all of our expenses through those. And he pays all the bills. So we kind of had to do it as a team where like I'd come up with the strategy and he would come up or he would execute on it, and he would make sure bills were paid on time in full. And he knew, what charges were going to go on what cards. So that all started about like 10 years ago. And then that was, a wonderful thing that it allowed our family to travel for really cheap. And we were taking, 3 to 4 family trips a year, up until really COVID. And it's just been, we're up to $80,000 worth of free travel now. So it's been a good hobby that my whole entire family benefits from.
Yeah, I'll say that's pretty awesome. That is
Yeah.
rad. And I love hearing that like as your children got older, y'all were able to like do some more travel because we have two little ones and there's not a ton of opportunity for us to travel right now. Obviously, our babies were both born in COVID, so it's,
Mm-hmm.
we're like right in the thick of it, but I
Yeah.
think to like the future of like when we can do some more traveling and like getting outside of our own little world, and it's pretty exciting. So it's cool to hear that you guys were able to do that as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's so much fun. I mean, travel just in itself, I've said all along that there are people who are more motivated by like cashback credit cards. And that's just never been my thing, because I feel like anytime I get something that's cash back, that money goes back on a card or money goes
Right.
back my checking, it just somehow magically disappears. Like it just gets absorbed with the rest of the balance, and you don't even really know what you ended up using it on. And with travel, it's such a specific, reward at the end of, you working so hard to earn the points. And when you see how much fun and these great memories you have with your family, like it's so motivating to do it again. So, um, like once we started doing it, I'm like, we've got to keep doing this, because we have like the best time when it's just the four of us all by ourselves off somewhere, like all the
Yeah.
bonding, and it's like just it's the best thing ever. So I hope that you guys are able to experience that as well at some point.
I'm so excited to just get started. We on our honeymoon bought a timeshare in Mexico, and that was something that we were like, you know what, we could just pay this off and use it, or we could not use it. And I'm like, we got it for a reason. We want to go to Mexico. Let's just do this. So we paid it off, and we're going to go to Cancun in June, and I'm so excited. But even more so lately, as we use the card, because we just opened our first card. We got the Chase Sapphire card, and it's the first one we've ever had. And a little background on our story: we actually had a lot of debt. We paid off $132,000 in like a year and a half, and a large chunk of that was credit cards. So we said we would never dare touch credit cards ever again. When Julia from GeoBreeze Travel was on, I was like, I don't even know that I want someone on our podcast to talk about credit cards, because we were so triggered about credit card usage. But now that we're on the other side and we're using them, I'm so excited to think of like, we have some friends in Nashville, and if we had the points set up, we could just go visit them whenever we wanted. We could just be strategic and go see people whenever and not worry about it. We could make a flight down to San Diego or anywhere. So I'm just excited for what the endless possibilities, really. It doesn't just have to be Cancun next year. And you're not really a big traveler, but you're about to be. Just buckle up, buddy.
Well, that luxury, I mean, it is like a luxury to be able to, on a whim, go visit a friend, or,
Yeah.
something comes up. And I can tell you that my husband did this just earlier this year with a friend who had a particular event happening. And he and some other friends, it was an old high school friend, um, said they were going to go fly out and see him and be there for the event like 2 days before it happened. And the fact that we didn't have to go, gosh, should we really pay $600 for a flight for just, you're only spending one night there and it's just you, and this was unplanned for, like, we don't have to even talk about it. I'm like, just pick your airline, like I'll work on it. He ended up like flying Southwest there, flew United back, because I'm like, oh, we got plenty of points, let me just figure out that route and how you're going to get there. And it cost us $11, for the
Yeah.
taxi. And it was so awesome that you can just do that. and not think, he didn't even have to think twice about it. Like, I mean, how awesome is that? So we have had those impromptu trips, like you were talking about, go see your friends in Nashville. It's not just these planned family vacations that we're able to do. So it's just like, I'm like, this is just, it's like extra, I don't know, it's extra rewarding when you're able to do that. Like, that's why I continue to stay really motivated, and I want other people to experience this, because it's too fun. I mean, vacations are fun anyway, but free vacations are even better.
For
Yes,
sure. Love that.
totally.
So, what made you choose to kind of build it into a social media thing? Obviously, you have like a pretty big following, so like clearly you're giving out information that's beneficial and that people are really connecting with. What made you want to kind of take it into that space?
Well, it was because of all the questions I was getting. So I started talking about a lot about personal finance when I started my account way back when, and there was no intent to make it a travel hacking type of account. Um, and I'd say it was a good year into the account where I mentioned something about us going to travel somewhere and talked more about like a specific trip, and how, hey, I'm into travel hacking and using points for free travel. And I was really kind of nervous, like in the same way that you've talked about, the taboo of credit cards, and all the, the negative things about, personal finance and credit cards and how bad they are.
Yeah.
I honestly wasn't sure how it was going to go over. And then when I talked a little bit about that, people started asking me more. And then through DMs, I'd share things, and they're like, oh, I'd love to learn more. And so then I started like slowly posting like once a week about it. And then people started asking me more and more. And then people started just like telling other people to come follow me for that kind of information. And so it just kind of organically grew, where, I mean, I still feel like, sharing personal finance messages and, money mindset is huge, and it's really foundational. I mean, you don't want to travel hack and have bad personal finance habits. I mean, or else you're just working against yourself. So they
Yeah.
kind of are related, but it wasn't my original intent, although it was so interesting to so many people. I think it would just, that helped grow my account, and because of all the questions. So that's kind of the short story or whatever of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's really cool that like you didn't go into it, thinking, I want to be some type of influencer or something, right? But rather just like I'm getting inundated with all these questions and I want to share this information, and for it to grow organically is pretty cool.
Yeah. The posts are still out there. I mean, you could look back years ago and see like, yeah, she never mentioned it once until this, maybe it was 2019, mid 2019 or something, where I mentioned it or something. And then you can kind of see the pace pick up with it. But no, my original intent of my whole account was, I have 7 nieces and nephews, and I have a great nephew now, to share more of like my life lessons around money management and the things I went through, and the decisions and the pressures of being in my 20s and 30s and then 40s, because now I'm 50, and kind of guide them. I'm very close to all of them. And, they call me, they text me, we have group texts, for words of wisdom, or what does this mean? And, like, what did you guys do? And they always ask for advice. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to push this out here on social media and create this account. And they all follow me. And I left it open, and said, maybe other people want to hear some of these stories too. And, kind of reflect on their own lives, and, they can learn some things. And then it took off. So, but it was really more about like money management, because a lot of them, well, most of them are all still in their 20s. I have one that just turned 30, but this was like the right time of their lives, where they're suddenly adults and they have to make these decisions, where they're looking around to say, what do I do now? Like, I have a real job. I'm married now. This is real life.
Yeah. What do
Yeah,
I do with my money?
Yes. So that was my original intent of the account.
that's awesome. That's cool to see that it's grown. So you mentioned just a minute ago that there were, some important habits with like personal finance, kind of centered around travel hacking. What would you say are the habits that people need to be firmly rooted in, or need to be, firmly in place in their lives to be successful in travel hacking, or even to get started?
Yeah. Well, good personal finance. Like I said, I do not recommend travel hacking for people who have credit card debt. I say hold off until you're done paying off that credit card debt and you've got that under control. Because there shouldn't be, my thing is you always are paying off your credit cards in full every single month. You should never be paying any kind of late charges, interest charges, or anything like that, or you're just defeating the purpose. So good personal finance habits is huge. Organization, so you're staying on top of your bills, and if you sign up for several cards, you understand the timing of when things are due, and which ones to use for which type of expenses, so you're strategically using them. Motivation, which I mentioned earlier, that honestly you have to be motivated to do this because it does take extra thinking. I mean, you want to be thinking every transaction you make, how can I earn more points with this card? Like I talked a lot about online shopping and how there's these great shopping portals you can use out there, and even multiply the amount of points you earn per dollar. So it's like you've got to always have it on the forefront of your mind to do really well with it. So if you're motivated and you see how great the rewards are, then you're going to stick with it and do a good job at it. Patience is a big thing. There's a lot of people who think that they'll write me and say, I want to take this trip in 3 months. Which card should I sign up for? And I'm like, okay, you understand, like there's a process to this, and there's minimum spends to be met, and then points have to post after that, and then you actually have to book it and know that there's availability. I mean, it's a process. And so people are like, just wanting to hurry, and I worry about people getting in over their heads, like they're trying to sign up for multiple cards at the same time, which then you're trying to meet more than one minimum spend. That's not a good idea. And so patience is absolutely necessary. And good planning skills, right? To be able to think ahead, and like, I mean, I plan vacations pretty far out, like mentally, for my travel hacking, to know, okay, this is where I want to go, and I'm pretty sure I want to stay at this particular hotel brand, and I start working on it way in advance, like earning those points. So thinking ahead, planning ahead, that's another big thing too.
I love that people like you are on social media and that you exist and talk about this, because there's so much taboo of using credit cards and credit card companies screwing people over, and it does not have to be that way. I saw someone say something yesterday. It's just a game, but once you know the rules, the possibilities are endless. And I was like, that's really sad for the people that don't know the rules, but it's so true. It's so true. So thank you for doing what you're doing and educating people about how to do this smart, without racking up a bunch of debt.
Right. Well, I mean, if I hadn't done it for so long myself, I wouldn't feel as comfortable talking about it. Like I wouldn't just be telling people like, you can figure, because we've been taught that credit cards are bad, and I mean, in every way. And I mean, I have people like that, I think, refuse to follow me because I support credit card use or whatever. But like, I believe that if people are financially accountable and are responsible, it can happen. Like, I'm an optimistic person. I don't say, well, people are weak, they give in to credit cards, they can't get out of that habit. And I don't look at that way. Like, I don't know. I believe that people, because I can do it, that other people can do it as well, that they can make good choices with their money and recognize that your credit card is not a loan, that's not a way to get a loan. And the fact that especially these days, with the way that you can pay anything online at any time, is so different than even 20 years ago, again, because I've been like doing this forever, where people truly waited till their card statement came in the mail, and half the time it was like this big surprise because they had no other way to track how much they had put on a credit card. So you think about that, like, it's like you open up the envelope and you're like, oh no, what's this going to say I owe, because I don't even remember where I used it, and I haven't been checking online because there is no online check. So like, it was like a big surprise, and oh no, I don't have the money to pay this at the end of the month, right? But that was like years ago. Now you have a card, you can go on your account within hours or the next day or whatever you want and pay off your entire balance. You can see exactly what you owe at any time of the day or night, and you can pay it right then and there. So you don't have to just like let this balance grow in your checking account and hope you have enough to cover it at the end of the month. Like, it's a different world now that I feel like travel hacking is so much easier as far as not having the risk that it used to have, that you don't have the money to pay for it. Like, I mean, I feel like people are smart. People know how to do everything online. If they really want to make this happen, they'll pay off their cards after they go buy something. I do it too, where they'll be like, if I do a really big transaction, I don't like to think about that even hanging over my head, and I'll go just pay it off because I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want the money out of there. I saved up for something, I swipe my card and I want it paid off, and then we're done. And then I have a big chunk of points. That's how I want to do it. So
I love that.
Anybody can do that.
Someone told me recently that they pay their credit card off every Friday. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought, that's a lot of effort. But now that we're like 6 weeks in or something using our new card, and I have made probably 6 payments. Like, I pay it all the time, the same thing. Once it gets to a certain point, I'm like, oof, let's just move some money around. It's just a game. Do you have a favorite card?
Yep, it's the card that you just got. It's that Chase Sapphire Preferred. Yeah, that card. I love Ultimate Rewards points. I mean, that's the number one card because it's so accessible to people, that it's a personal card. The annual fee is only $99 or $95 maybe. Yeah, I think it's 95. But the point is that it earns those ultimate rewards, which are so flexible and great earning rates now with like dining and things like that, where you're earning 3 points per dollar. And I use those points more than any other points. And the fact that there's also these other card options out there that you can pair with that Chase Sapphire Preferred, like the Business Ink or the Chase Freedom cards that earn the same exact type of points, and you can combine them all into your Sapphire account, and then have this nice chunk of points to use for things. It's my most used card. It's the most points like that I redeem out of any of the points. And even the fact that you can combine those points with like your spouse's points, so you both can sign up and combine, because there's a lot of programs out there that do not let you combine points. I can't get enough of those. They're like gold to me. Those are my favorite points. So I love my Sapphire Preferred. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me feel good knowing that that's the one we've got.
Good. We did okay.
And did you get the great sign-up offer? Did you get the 100K sign-up offer?
No. Oh my gosh, we didn't. And we waited just like 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
And we were almost there, and then we just decided, you know what, we're gonna wait to apply, and then we applied and it was down to 60. But that was really
I
cool.
didn't get that offer either. When I signed up, I got the 60K offer way back when. So I'm in the same boat. I was very jealous of all the people that were getting the increased offer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah, pretty sweet deal points, for sure.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What is that worth? 100,000 in
So
dollars.
I mean, it's worth $1,250 for the Chase Sapphire Preferred, because it's 1.25 cents per point.
Oh wow.
So that's a lot of money to use towards your travel. And then a lot of people, and including myself, would say it could be worth even more when you transfer those points out to other programs, because those points can wind up being more than 1.25 when you transfer. There's some sweet spots like transferring out to Hyatt, Southwest, where those points are actually have a higher value than 1.25 cents. So if you transfer them out at a one for one rate, they're actually worth more than that. So you can get even more than that, the $1,250 out of that kind of sign up bonus. So I've done it myself. I transfer out a lot of those points, just to let you know, versus redeeming them through the travel portal.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kara, let me ask, how do you rationalize? Let me start. kind of preface this. I saw something on Twitter that kind of made me be like, I don't know about that. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, how do you rationalize when people say that travel hacking is just people kind of taking advantage or gaming poor people or people that are caught up in the interest cycle of credit debt?
So I've definitely, heard that theory before, but I don't think, I mean, I think it's just something to pick on, right? Like you could say that in so many aspects of any industry, whether it's political or, I look at things to say, I know the rules of what I can and can't do with these cards, right? I make my own choices and I'm accountable for my own behavior. I cannot be accountable for other people's behavior. And so I'm
Right.
saying this, and when I started and said, you can say that more broadly with a lot of things in life, right? Like people make their unique individual choices in everything they do, whether it's related to credit cards or money or how they raise their family or where they go to school or if they go to school. Like there are people that are making choices. I know the rules of these cards. I make the choices for me. I use these cards and play within the rules. I am not doing anything illegal. I'm not scamming anyone in any way. And, I am benefiting from it. But the credit card companies, you guys have to understand, these banks know about travel hacking.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is in the grander model that they know there's a percentage of people who they don't make as much money off of as some people, right? They also make money off of the transactions themselves, not just the interest rates that they're charging people for not paying on time or carrying over a balance, right? Every time you swipe a card, the credit card companies make money, whether you're someone who pays it off every month or you're someone who has a carries a balance. So to me, I'm like, look, I use a product in the way that I'm allowed to use it and I benefit from it. And someone may make a choice and use it and get themselves in a different situation. But I kind of am at a like with the mindset that people are accountable for their own behaviors. And when you sign up for anything in life, not just credit cards, you should try to know what you're doing right before you get into it and educate yourself on some choice you're making, especially when it comes to money. But I guess that's where I stand, because I mean I've heard it for many many years that it that because again that the credit card industry preys on people, but they're well aware that there are people that travel hack. And in fact, there's even conferences out there, which blew my mind. I remember like several years ago when one of my friends who goes to some of these conferences told me about the banks have representatives that go to these travel hacking conferences because they also learn like what incentivizes people to use their cards, like what are good things and bad things and how are you using them. And this is like at travel hacking conferences, and they'll have even people like from these major banks speak at conferences. So it's not like you're doing something scandalous and taking advantage of something. I mean, everyone's eyes are wide open. So I don't know. I respect that position and understand where people are coming from with that, but I think you have to look at things more broadly, and understand the bigger picture of it. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that, a lot of people think that it's kind of like a zero sum game, right? Where it's like if you're travel hacking, then other people must not be um, doing okay, or, some kind of idea like that. And it's not like you're like a shill for big banks. Like, look at me taking all these, trips. But it's like you've spent your own money using this product and are getting some type of reward or value out of it. Like that doesn't, hinder or affect others. And like I'm a very like socially minded human, and I'm like, yes, let's help out poor people. Like I've been there, but like the travel hacking space isn't where I would like direct energy, right? Like there's so many other places that I'd be like, that's the problem,
Yeah.
Right.
versus like somebody who's like, yeah, I spent $4,000 in 3 months and I'm gonna go to Cancun for cheap. Like it just doesn't really. that's never made much sense to me. So I've always wondered, like, as a travel hacker, how does that sit? Because as a lay human, I'm like, I don't know how much I agree with that.
Right, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
There's a lot of opinions out there, and I appreciate, Justin, you asking that question, because I think that people need to just be open minded. And there are people in the travel hacking space, in the personal finance space, on Instagram, and on other social media platforms who can help educate people how to really do this the right way and the responsible way. So thank you for your
yeah.
answer on that.
No, and when I mean, I look at my own audience, and again, my roots are with personal finance, and I
Right.
continue to post with that. And I am all about being responsible with your money. And I am 100% teaching a lot of people who knew nothing about travel hacking. Like, I don't really talk about the super the super complex. There's like different levels of travel hacking. There's like the simple, straightforward beginner type of travel hacking, and then there's things that get really tricky. There's things like buying groups and just like and flipping products just to get the points, and people that do some really crafty things. And when I say crafty, I don't mean bad or wrong or illegal, but just more sophisticated ways of earning points that just like a newbie would never even, they'd be so
Right.
overwhelmed by it. Like, I don't even talk about those things that also sometimes present higher risk, or like manufactured spend, which is something that people talk about in the travel hacking world. I don't talk about that. I talk about the basics for someone who says, I hear people can do this. Can I get in on that? And what do I have to do? These are people who have never done it before. That's my primary audience. And so when I talk about it, I am educating them in a way that, like, opening their eyes to things that they weren't aware you could do, and how you can take, it is an opportunity. I don't want to say take advantage because that sounds bad, but there is this opportunity to benefit from credit cards. And there's a lot of other side things aside from travel, with like the types of benefits you get, like especially you'll see with your Chase Sapphire, that the kind of insurance and warranty extension you have on your products, and the fact when you want to dispute a charge where something wasn't delivered as promised, and the fact that Chase will help you dispute things when you want to say, hey, this wasn't, I paid for something and I didn't get what I paid for, and to file claims and things like that, where the credit card companies actually help protect you in a way. I mean, there are some good things, and even just having a paper trail of charging things versus paying cash, that you can better manage your money because all of your transactions. Like, there's a lot of positive things with credit cards, just aside from the travel benefits. So, again, I don't see travel, the credit cards as being as evil as many people do.
What would you say is your biggest piece of advice for someone who is hesitant but curious as a beginner?
I say just, take it slow and don't make your goal too aspirational with what you want to do. I mean, if you say, look, my goal would be to be able to cover, just a flight next year, or to cover half of our typical charge when we take this vacation, and don't look for, don't try to go all in and constantly be like, what card comes next? I mean, I've always told people you start with a goal in mind. Like, people write me every day and say, what's the best card right now? And that is not the right question to ask. The right question is to say, what type of travel goal do I have right now? And then what brands do I know align with that particular travel goal? And then you can be more specific and focused on like what you research and understand what cards will meet your needs. And then you can start small with that and just say, look, I just want the Southwest card because I want to take a couple free flights this year, and shoot for a card that has a lower annual fee, and that you're signing up during a peak sign up bonus. Like, Southwest had an amazing sign up bonus recently too. And just kind of keep it small in the beginning, meet your minimum spend and use your points, and just, don't try to get in too deep and cover a whole entire trip. And then you learn things along the way, you read more, you research more, and then you can build up as you go. I mean, I wasn't doing what I am right now, like even 10 years ago. I mean, I started slow, but then you just learn so much along the way, then you just get better at it, like with anything else.
That is awesome advice. Thanks for sharing all
Take it
that.
slow.
Yeah, I want to kind of ask you a flip of that, and it's our famous last question. So you've given us all of this great advice for like where beginners can actually get started, but we want to ask you if you could put a stop sign on anybody's financial journey. And if you want to specifically talk travel hacking here, you're more than welcome to. But if you want to talk personal finance in general, you're certainly able to as well. But where would you put a stop sign on somebody's financial journey? What would you stop them from doing?
Wow. I would say to, oh God, I've got a lot of answers.
We've noticed that when we ask people who are in personal finance, they're like, gosh, I have like 7 things I'd love to rattle right now.
No. Well, one of my biggest things, because I know this is one of the most important secrets to my success, is about living beneath your means,
Mm-hmm.
right? And my big thing is to not grow your spending as your income grows. Don't and I did an Instagram post about this too, that you don't want the lines to go parallel. You want your income line to keep going up, and your expense line to be much, going much slower. And so the biggest thing, when people make more money, they feel like they're entitled to spend more money.
Mm-hmm.
And having that mindset over years and years and years. And like I said, I mean, I'm 50 years old now, so I've like been an adult for a long time. And don't get me wrong, that like, I know lifestyle, like your lifestyle changes, and in many times, your lifestyle increases from a financial perspective, and you spend more along the way. But trying to keep up, like having the pace be the same for your spending as your income. I would say, living beneath your means, managing your spending as your income increases, is like one of the biggest factors in me building wealth over the years. And I feel like, from what I've witnessed others do, people didn't have it as under control, and paying the price for that at this
Mm-hmm.
point in life, like people my age, right? Whether it's friends or family or anything else, that, if I could stop someone, I mean, that's what I'm thinking about your stop sign analogy, to tell people, like, get yourself in check, that just because you make more money doesn't mean you automatically need to increase your lifestyle to what you think you should be living at that income level. And if you like don't pay attention to how much you're making constantly, like, is that what you were kind of looking
Yeah,
for?
that's perfect. I think that
Okay.
like lifestyle inflation is the silent killer for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it is so hard, and you mentioned even on your website, like being able to not fall into the trap of keeping up with the Joneses, like
Yeah.
that is absolutely necessary when it comes to like building wealth and being successful in finances.
And the thing is it's so sneaky. Like, lifestyle inflation is so sneaky. You just think like, oh, I'm not running off and buying a nicer fancy car, but you do start going out to nicer restaurants here and there, and you do start going to more concerts with your friends, and then you do, like, there's just these little things. I mean, I'm just giving random examples that just start adding up over
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
You feel like, even that you're not doing that, but then next thing you know, you look back and go, God, we spend thousands more, a year than we did in the past. What's happening here? And it just creeps up on you year after year after year. And then some of those decisions, you're kind of stuck with for a while. If you go and upgrade, your house, and I'm not saying people shouldn't go buy new houses, and I know I'm like a rare exception, the fact that we've been in this house for 25 years, which is insane. But I know that's not like common, and sometimes unrealistic for some people. But the fact that you buy some bigger house, you're going to be paying on that for a really, really long time. You make some
Yeah.
decision 10 years ago, and you're still paying for it now. And it's you've got to go backwards and readjust to like get your costs down. I mean, you can't just suddenly get rid of your housing costs. Sorry.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense, and it's really easy to fall into that trap, especially when you do all of a sudden make more money, or you pay off a house and then you have extra money to spend. Well, if you just spend it, then it's gone, and there's just a lot there. So thank you for that stop sign. That was a great one.
Yeah.
Where can our toasties find you? Where can they connect with you on social media? Find your Instagram, your website? Where can they find you?
So my Instagram is ant.cara. And I post on that more frequently than anything. I'm always posting in stories, if not on my feed. And I do end up doing a lot more travel hack posts in my stories just randomly, because I'll come across a good deal and just throw it out there in my stories. I also have a website, antcara.com. I don't post as frequently there, but if there's like big news, especially about travel hacking, I can share more. This is an interesting thing that happened this year. I can share more about specific cards on my website than I can on Instagram now, because there's new rules with these banks on social media. If you're an affiliate, which I'm an affiliate, so if I want to talk about a specific card, so I'm not just when I'm out there posting about my favorite credit card or my favorite airline card, I'm not just doing teasers to try to drive traffic to my website, because I don't like that. But I can't say the actual card names on Instagram anymore, but I can on my website.
Tricky.
So a lot of times when cards, new great sign up bonuses come out, I will like hint around what it is on Instagram, and then I'll write a full blog on my webpage. Plus I can write more about the details. Like I have, I can use more characters on my website, but I do post a lot of travel hacking stuff out there as well. And then I also have an email list as well, if you want to sign up for that. So that's, it's in my profile on my Instagram page that people can sign up for that as well.
Thank you so much. We will make sure we link all of your contact information in the show notes below, so people can just go click the link and go follow your Instagram page, because you have some great content, and we want more people to be educated on all the fun things there are with travel hacking.
Good.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thanks for chatting with us. It's so funny because there's like the common media idea of the ant that, just kind of shows up around the holidays and is like a train wreck that's thrown together and is like the stereotypical ant in movies. But, Aunt Kara here is like dishing out savvy financial advice. Like everybody needs an Aunt Kara.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I like to be considered, the good aunt, the aunt, the favorite aunt, or the aunt that everybody wants, not the train wreck aunt.
Yeah, seriously.
And I think my nieces and nephews in real life would agree, because even their friends call me Aunt Kara, and have for like ever, and have even contacted me and called me. I mean, this is way before Instagram, to ask me advice for things. So I think I've upheld my reputation with them on social media as well.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we hope to chat again soon.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Kara. That's going to do it for this episode of Price of Avocado Toast. As always, we are so thankful to have had this conversation with you, and so grateful to be a part of this community. Happy budgeting.
You've got this, Toasties.
Thanks for listening to the Price of Avocado Toast. If you vibed with this episode, share it with a friend that you're comfortable having money talks with. And if you don't mind, we'd love if you could rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're in need of my support as a financial coach, message me on Instagram. I'd love to help in any way that I can. Until next time.